morning, good evening, good afternoon, Fabulites. This is Angela, and I have got questions for you. What opens with Nola giving us one of her classic monologues from bed, and what closes with Nola giving us one of her classic monologue from bed? Oh, wait. Who is that at the door? I'm Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and sticking around to see how we get from opening to close, and where we find out who is that at the door at the end of this the season finale of that. She's got to have it. And the season finale is episode 10, Nola's Choice. 3 the hard way. Okay, so we got Nola in bed, and she is, let us proceed. We got Nola in bed. She's doing her classic monologue, thanking her parents and Thanksgiving, talking about gentrification and murderation and I don't know what that is. Then we see Nola cooking turkey, greens, cranberries. It's Thanksgiving fare. And she's setting the table. It's the table set for 4. We hear the ringing of the door. And then we see Mars arriving, and he's bringing a Junior's, probably cheesecake from Junior's. I'm not a cheesecake person. And then when I went to Junior's, I'm like, I don't really like this place. I never like places usually that have like 8 million things on. But anyway, I'm not a cheesecake person. And he also has brought her a Prince album, her favorite Prince album. And then we see Mary trying to get. Oh, he's like, Mars is trying to say, can we get a quickie in before the turkey? But right when he's saying that, and she's like, no, the doorbell rings. And then Overstreet is there, and he's with wine. Mars assumes he's a delivery boy, and he gives him some money. He tips him and sends him on his way, or tries to. And then Nola introduces Mars to Overstreet, and they like, what's going on? Then no sooner than we see this going on, then the bell rings again, and Greer arrives with flowers, and there's a group introduction. It's obviously very awkward. And Nola goes to get dressed, and they all remember seeing each other at Nola's art show, and we have a flashback of that. And this is what her therapist has suggested. We're realizing, full disclosure. So she got them all there together. And then they have a prayer circle with Jamie, and then Greer, and then Mars, and then Nola. They say what they thankful for or whatever, and they eat. And each person's thankfulness kind of fits in with their character or whatever. And then all of the men compliment the food. And I'm kind of enjoying the dinner. I had heard about the dinner, from listening to people's full reviews, so I knew it was coming. But I actually enjoyed it. It was like the brother husbands edition. And they're like, well, what's the real purpose of this? The men are kind of like uncomfortable. And Nola, the men ask, and Nola's like, well, this is for me. You say I'm abnormal, and you say I'm abnormal. I don't want to be like no one else. The world has made me the man of my dreams. And Michelle and D'Angelo, I guess that's one of her songs. They don't really get the illusion. I didn't get it either. But she's like, okay, well, and then she's like, you've each asked me about the other dude or the other dudes. Well, here they are, and then Nola, we see Nola washing the dishes, and each man comes in turn, one after the other, to try to help her wash dishes and get alone time, or, whatever, establish their supremacy or dominance or whatever. And then Nola is like, sometimes being uncomfortable causes us to react and evolve and grow. And then, we see on the couch Mars and Nola and Jamie and Greer, and they're smoking weed, or smoking, I guess it's weed. And then she says she's going to unveil her latest and greatest work, and it's a 3-headed monster. The 3-headed monster. And they're like, what? It's 3 of them. It's like nude portraits of the 3 of them all together, kind of connected, and you can see they naked nude portraits, and they upset, and she's like, yeah, objectification is a biatch. And then the artwork speaks. Mars, the artwork literally speaks, like, Greer speaks from his head, his big head, and then Overstreet speaks from his big head, and then Mars speaks from his peen, his little head. I was like, oh, what does that mean? And then Yeah, yeah. And then Nola puts on the album, the record that baby boy Mars had brought her. She puts on, and it's Raspberry Beret. And last time at boss name Mr. McGee told you several times that I didn't like my kind. I was meant to easily look like, okay, I could not have taken. And I'm like, oh my God, are they about to have a foursome? I couldn't take a foursome. But they all lay in the bed. And then there's something about that comes across the screen talking about what the itis is. Some people call it Negro-itis or, whatever. But I've heard it called the itis, where you eat a big meal and then you lay down and go to sleep. And then they all are laying on the bed and go to sleep. Then Jamie gets up and leaves. Then Greer leaves. Then Mars leaves. And then Miss Nola is in bed in her dress, and she does her closing monologue. And then we hear the ringing of the door, and Opal is there, and Nola's like, what are you doing? And they have a whole conversation before Nola will let the woman in, and the woman is there with champagne, and that's the end of the episode, and that's the end of the series. So I think somewhere around episode 6 or 7, I was kind of like, I probably watch it. I think I'm like, I really like the Greer character for whatever reason. I really like the Mars character for whatever reason. I like Nola enough. I like Rockalata Moss. I thought it was interesting enough. I don't know. When I had my technical difficulties and couldn't see it, I was like, what's happening? But I had watched reviews of it, so it's not like a book where you have to like, what's going to happen? But that's all I got. So it's getting dark. You can barely see me anymore. You can still see my teeth. But that's what I got. Thank you so much for watching. I reviewed the whole season, all 10 episodes. So they should be in a playlist. Hopefully, most of them are, but this should be in a playlist soon. So go back and check out the rest of my reviews. I don't know what's coming on next week, but I do Real Housewives of Atlanta. I do Married to Medicine. I think I'm going to be doing Seeking Sister Wife. What other shows am I reviewing? It's some other shows. It's not all just ratchet reality TV. It's some other things with a little bit of dignity. I also do notes on the news. So if you like what I do, consider subscribing. If you are a subscriber, I appreciate you so much. Today is the best day ever. You are number one. You're the greatest. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous. Yo! Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous. Yeah!